Story 1. Littering is unacceptable. I can't believe people toss cigarette butts and other small items on the ground. It is a significant issue. Story 2. Cruelty, mocking others, laughing at people's vulnerabilities, arrogance, and acting superior to everyone else are harmful behaviors. Criticizing individuals for their failures when they have done their best is unjust. Story 3. Cheating, more specifically, participating in someone else's adultery when he knew she was married. Story 4. When people disrespect others in lower positions in life, such as fast food or retail workers. Story 5. When people dislike kids, I understand that some individuals may not like them, but to hate them and make it part of your personality is unreasonable. Children are just trying to exist like the rest of us. Story 6. I had a white coworker who mentioned that her niece was finally talking to the family after being shut out. She expressed, "I just told her that you can't help who you fall in love with." I was confused and asked, "What has this guy done?" She responded, "Oh, he's black." I told my coworker that this was one of the most racist comments she could make to her niece. She was shocked and explained that she was trying to ease tensions with her niece and the family. I was still taken aback and asked, "What else concerns you about him?" She replied, "He has tattoos." I thought of neck, face, body covered, etc. However, she showed me a picture of him at a Disney work event, and he had a superhero tattoo. Turned out this guy works for Disney, has 3 degrees, and treats her niece like a queen. I just couldn't look at her the same after that. Story 7. Constant political discussion typically reeks of someone who feels they are always right and wants everyone to know it. It is rarely a true discussion. It often consists of them asking about your beliefs and either agreeing with you or ranting about how you are wrong and a terrible person for it. Every friend group has that person, and it is always annoying. Story 8. Being rude to waitstaff is inappropriate. Making fun of people when it is unwarranted and unprovoked is unacceptable. Show confidence instead of arrogance. Story 9. Abandoning your pet. There are reasons to search for a new home, but there is never a reason to leave an animal alone. Story 10. People who always respond with "I know" when you share things with them seem very attuned to everything happening. Story 11. Littering. If you can't hold on to something until you find a trash bin, which is usually further down the road, please do not dispose of it on the ground. Story 12. If they ask for change for the smallest items, like you're that pressed for a quarter, I had strangers pay for my food and water just because they were being kind. If you're my friend and request that I pay you back for a small drink, I automatically lose respect, and I stop buying them little presents or gifts. I know I will be criticized for this, but I like being around people to whom I can give and from whom I can receive in return. I buy my coworker local homemade soup because they weren't feeling well. They buy me a latte one day just because. It's a cycle of generosity, nothing outstanding. I often gift home-baked goods to family, friends, acquaintances, and coworkers. Recently, someone I thought was a friend requested $4 from me because I ate food that they ordered at their party. This was not the first time they had done this, but I always ignored it until they told me that they saved $1,500 per month. While I'm saving substantially less than that, I never asked for money when I gave them fresh-baked cookies that I sell. Yet, they have no problem charging me for the terrible slice of pizza I ate. Story 13. When they start being unusually kind after learning something specific about me, or are suddenly nice after being unkind the entire time I've known them, I feel immediate suspicion about certain types of overt kindness. Story 14. I am currently working under a manager who has thrown me under the bus. I cannot respect him at all. Story 15. Cruelty to animals, children, the elderly, the disabled, and the sick is unacceptable. Treating anyone who is vulnerable with disrespect reflects a lack of humanity. Story 16. Messing up something minor and finding any way to blame it on something else. For example, someone drops a coffee mug and says, "These cheap mugs are the problem." Yes, Bob, it's the mug's fault. I see how you are. Story 17. Addictions, avoiding feelings, and discovering emotional unavailability can be challenging. It is even more difficult when someone appears warm, present, and affectionate, but disengages at the first mention of something serious or real. Story 18. When they address obvious wrong things as if they are right. One day a classmate was chatting in the middle of the road when a car started beeping at us. The classmate said, "Just touch me and I will hurt you." I thought, man, chill. It's your fault. You shouldn't be on the road in the first place. Story 19. You're either with me or against me. Bad behavior is considered morally acceptable when it is directed at bad people. Using good causes to justify bad behavior. Telling others how they should feel. You do not have the right to be upset about this. Story 20. Cheating involves individuals who choose to deceive their partners intentionally. Such actions require active participation in hiding their infidelity and seeking out someone to engage with, and they do this willingly. I have distanced myself from people like this out of disgust. One person, in particular, confessed to our friend group only after his girlfriend figured out the truth. He continued to conceal even more inappropriate behavior and admitted to it only when she told him she was already aware, as his actions were too suspicious to overlook. It is not difficult to remain faithful, and if someone struggles with that, how can they be trusted? Story 21. When I found out that they were a Nazi and took an active role in the final solution, respect was pretty much off the table at that point. Story 22. Greed is apparent in some of my family members, and I find it detestable. I understand that we all aspire to be financially secure, but there are givers and takers never stop taking. Story 23. They criticize my music without offering any constructive feedback or support. Story 24. Questioning others' motives without understanding their individual situations can be misleading. People often discuss how they would live their lives in someone else's shoes without considering what that person might be experiencing. Story 25. I used to be friends with a girl on Discord. Then she made a bigoted comment about how the tokenism of autistic people in media is similar to the discrimination African Americans experienced. I lost all respect. Story 26. In my 20s, I was sitting with two older male friends who were teammates of mine in a sports league at our local dive bar. We were just relaxing and discussing a game we had just played when one of them started talking about a female sports commentator on the TV in the bar. He randomly said, "I wouldn't find her attractive," while his stunning wife was literally on the other side of the room. The other friend nodded in agreement, which stunned me because he had a daughter nearly the same age as the commentator, and I had never perceived creepy behavior from either of them before. I instantly felt uncomfortable and lost respect for both of them. I don't understand why some people think they need to vocalize every inappropriate thought that enters their mind, but apparently, he felt the need to do so that day. Story 27. When parents are not nice to their children, it is strange how some use the idea of ruling with an iron fist to appear cool or in control. Speaking crazily or belittling your children indicates to me that you are not a good person. Story 28. How they treat their bartenders and servers. I reported a customer at a bar because he was cut off at the previous bar for nearly being sick on the counter and left no tip. I informed the next bartender about what happened, and she cut him off as well. Never mistreat your bartenders. Story 29. When they preach the Bible to me very insistently and do not respect that I am not interested in it. I do not respect people who treat me this way. Story 30. People who lie to me, people who are disrespectful to others, especially based on their social status or lack of education, people who are too prideful to apologize sincerely and change their behavior, those who cannot admit when they are wrong, racists, bigots, and individuals who are intolerant of others based on gender identity or sexual orientation, narcissists, and people who blame others for their problems, as well as those who litter. Additionally, individuals who attend church on Sundays but treat others poorly when not in church, those who refuse to consider both sides of an argument, and people who judge someone's character solely based on their religious or political beliefs. We can be friends even if we disagree on religion or politics. I promise. Story 31. Cheating, more specifically, participating in someone else's adultery when he knew she was married. Story 32. If they are religious, believing in and trying to make others believe in fairy tales is not only foolish but also harmful. Story 33. If I find out they cheat on their spouse or significant other, Loyalty is very important to me. If the person you share a bed with cannot trust you, then I definitely cannot trust you either. Story 34. Talking negatively about others when they first meet me at work is something I have experienced as well. There is a colleague who engages in this behavior, and I have overheard her speaking badly about me on several occasions. However, I choose not to confront her because she has an unpredictable nature. Her behavior makes her a target for others, which allows me to stay relatively uninvolved. Story 35. Cheating in the past is significant. People often say the past shouldn't matter, but certain actions, like cheating, do carry weight. I have encountered this frequently in my life, and I prefer not to engage with or build friendships or relationships with individuals who have cheated in their past. Story 36. Pretending door handles do not exist when closing doors. I do not want to sound nitpicky, but my roommate has no sense of politeness in that regard. Story 37. Making fun of you or someone else only occurs when they are surrounded by friends, but once alone, they become a totally different person. Story 38. I immediately lose respect when someone cannot make a point without including a string of obscenities. I am not a prude. I use profanity often, but when I am trying to argue a point, I leave vulgar language out of it. Story 39. If you, as a human being, do not have the common decency to say the words please, thank you, and sorry, then something is terribly wrong. Story 40. I often see this answer whenever this question arises, but I didn't notice it with a quick glance at the comments, so I guess it's my turn. When people are rude to wait staff or others in similar positions, how you treat them, especially those who are meant to serve you, says a lot about your character. Story 41. When they won't or can't let you finish a sentence, it generally indicates that they aren't listening and are just waiting for their turn to talk instead. Story 42. When individuals cannot admit they are wrong, they tend to criticize others for taking the high road. They are essentially petty or sore winners. Story 43. A girl recently broke up with my close friend. A few weeks later, I saw her with another guy. She said hello, but I ignored her. I never liked her much, but after that, I lost even the little respect I had. Story 44. Maybe it's okay if I don't know the truth. Stupid me, right? But if I knew the facts or I already told you, I know the truth, and you were still lying? Story 45. If they become upset when people provide feedback or correct them, even if the information is something they had wrong and needed to understand. Story 46. When people judge others, I find it unpleasant. Everyone has a reason for who they are. You don't know what someone has experienced to become who they are, so try to be more understanding before making judgments about them. I can't say I haven't been judgmental before, so does that mean I dislike myself? Sometimes. Story 47. There is a lot to consider, but when people are rude to service staff, I instantly think they are not only disrespectful but also arrogant. Other red flags include dislike for animals, impatience with children or individuals with disabilities, use of derogatory language, comments on people's physical appearance as if it is more important than anything else, littering, spitting in public, picking their noses, constantly boasting about their intelligence, humor, or attractiveness to excuse bad behavior, habitually talking on the phone while conversing with you. Story 48. When someone is incredibly confident yet refuses to verify their knowledge when questioned, they simply insist that others are wrong. I consider myself a self-assured person, but when my knowledge is challenged, I always do a quick search to find a definitive answer. Takes only about 30 seconds. Story 49. When what they are telling you about how they plan to do something does not align with reality, and they do not objectively see that it is a terrible idea no matter what I say or do, they continue in the cycle of ups and downs and do not take my advice seriously. I cannot fathom how someone could choose to put themselves through something they know is not good for them. There is nothing I can do but accept it. I just experienced this situation with my neighbor. It was an extremely childish scenario, but to keep it brief, he got a woman pregnant. It is his ex's. She has great friends, including one who stabbed her while she was pregnant, verbally abuses him, manipulates him, and refuses to let us hang out because she does not trust him. This woman is older than me. I just lost my best friend because of someone who has barely said more than hi to me, but I cannot lower myself to his level. I have too much respect for myself, and that is such a shame because I genuinely care about him. Story 50. When in public, they are playing with their phone at a loud volume without using headphones while watching videos or playing games. Story 51. Besides the obvious cheating, bullying, rudeness to service staff, and cruelty to animals, relationships fail when individuals are unwilling to grow and leave as soon as things become complicated. It is impossible to build a genuine friendship or relationship with someone who is not willing to navigate through difficult times. Story 52. It is inappropriate to be rude to wait staff or customer service representatives. Do you really think they want to be there? No, they do not. They are likely there out of necessity to pay their bills. I highly doubt anyone wants to work if they do not have to. Story 53. When they either minimize what is happening with the United States government or are not paying attention to it. Story 54. The mentality of when it affects me, it's a bad thing, but if it affects you, maybe it's not so bad. I work with someone who benefits completely from our union and other democratic initiatives, but does not fully support our union. She often downplays the struggles of others as not being as significant as her own. She shares how poor she was growing up and sees herself as a success for overcoming her circumstances. She fails to recognize her own bias and privilege and tends to believe that other people struggle because of personal failures, not systemic issues. I find this perspective frustrating. Story 55. Mean gossip and complaining suggest that everything in their life is an issue, and they never find joy in anything. Story 56. People who never apologize because they cannot accept when they are wrong often exhibit excessive pride. I have many family members who demonstrate this behavior. Story 57. Treating customer service workers, such as those in fast food, retail, serving, and coffee shops, with anything less than respect is unacceptable. Littering is also a concern. Story 58. Men who think they can put their hands straight up my skirt. I have to tell them, first, respect me. I am not a fool. Story 59. Being late all the time can be frustrating. If it's a common occurrence, especially if the reason is an excuse, like not charging your phone before bed so it died before your morning alarm, it shows a lack of consideration. It makes me feel like you didn't care enough to make it on time. This behavior is a sign of selfishness, in my opinion. Story 60. When someone consistently complains about something they can change but does not take action. Story 61. When they discuss something from the past that does not match your recollection and exaggerate or take credit for it, you may hear their version of the events from someone else first, which makes it ingrained. Story 62. Treating others poorly, especially those in service industries such as waitstaff and cleaners, is unacceptable. Additionally, treating animals poorly is also wrong. Story 63. Someone without integrity does not hold themselves to high standards or moral codes, nor do they think they are above the rules. I believe it is important to be responsible toward ourselves and others. As soon as I see that someone lacks this quality, I know that I should distance myself from them. Story 64. When they don't actually listen to what others are saying and instead wait to speak their minds, it feels like a one-way conversation. If I wanted that, I could just talk to my TV. Story 65. People who make their political opinions their personalities. No one cares who you support. Keep that to yourself, please. Story 66. If they voted for Trump in 2024 after voting for him in 2016, I guess I understand. This time around, it tells me everything I need to know. Story 67. Trying to act smarter than they are, or perhaps not being able to admit a lack of knowledge, is more accurate. Story 68. When they talk about their possessions or discuss their business all day, there are many topics to explore. Story 69. If someone has a strong, unpleasant odor. Someone who is over 30 years old dating someone under 25 years old. Someone imposing their religious views on others. Story 70. If that person talks negatively about Delta or the other legacy carriers and claims that interstate road trips are better, that is not the case. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.